session forward. We got NGS, Rajesh and Krithi. Gentlemen, it's the first time I have all three of you together.
Absolutely.
So is this an indication that the top team has to come together and really give a lot of clarity about the environment?
This is an indication that the top team thinks very similarly.
So Rajesh, what are we starting with? TCS or your second life?
TCS. Second life we'll do separately.
Rajesh, from a market standpoint, the communication needs to be perhaps on the lines of immediate, which is short term, medium term and long term. Long term, IT services will be relevant. Medium term, the cloud adaptation is real. But the short term is where there is a change of heart, business, volatility and visibility. How would you defend that?
I would say that exactly what you framed it. From a market perspective, that's an important call to take. But from a company perspective, actually that is not a very important decision per se. Because if you look at our overall stance on our operating stance, that does not change significantly given the short-term volatility that we are seeing. We are continuing to stay very engaged with customers. The deal flow indicates that both our relevance as well as our ability to close and engage with customers is very strong. Operationally, there is quite a lot of activity that is going on to actually recoup some of the operational stances that we had pre-pandemic. And that activity does not matter whether, in fact, if there is some weakness, it actually accelerates the space available for that reset, especially on the contingent labor side, where we rebalance it back to our own employee base on the on-site side. So, from an operating company perspective, the 1 quarter, 2 quarter is not a very big thing. From a market pricing perspective, it has implications. There we are not able to share much. I have shared as what we said, that we expected something different. We expected it to bounce back. That expectation was based on the overall strength of the individual clients that we were with, the overall economic strength that we thought was there, and something not just our assessment, our clients' own assessment of where their business was. If you look at it, it has not significantly changed. There is caution, and that caution we had expected it to dissipate. Instead of that, the caution has intensified, and therefore it is natural that they are becoming a bit more risk averse and wanting to see how this develops, and we are participating in that and getting impacted by that. So, as I said, from an operating company perspective, this is not very material, but from a market perspective, especially those parts of the market that needs to price it for a more shorter term, that needs to, but there's nothing further that we can share.
Krithi, now it's not for the first time we've gone through a volatility or period of uncertainty. TCS has got a 5-decade history, and many times we've seen even bigger concerns. But if I look at the slowdown patterns, GFC crisis, right, Brexit issue, they've lasted for at least 4 to 6 quarters. Right. Will this time it be different?
Our hope is this will be different.
Why?
As I said, during the GFC time, digital technology, digital transformation was just coming of age. And the importance and relevance or centrality of technology was not as high as it is today. Today, every industry thinks technology is a game changer for them. New products and services are being introduced based on the technology available. So they have to fall back on technology to achieve growth again. So those things give us a confidence that this time, once the uncertainty is over, people will look at deploying new technology for furthering their growth. This actually will be an enabler for future growth. This will actually enable them to get out of the situation they are in. That's our going in position.
And just the crisis is with a handful of regional banks. Do you have a direct business with them? And if the crisis is only limited this time to small regional banks, then what is the uncertainty about?
Our exposure to regional banks is very marginal, and it's not significant. The confidence that we have is also coming from the fact that there is it is not a chain reaction that's happening, right? Unlike the GFC crisis. When something went wrong, there are several banks got impacted. Whereas in the current situation, it seemed to have been isolated to two, one in the US and one in the Europe, and they have been largely contained with tremendous amount of government support on either side, right? Our government interventions, which were very timely, right? Thirdly, I think, the order book that we have got this quarter, 3.1 billion from financial services, doesn't seem to, correlate to that, right? In the sense that most of them feel that these are projects that need to be executed, right? And it's also one lumpy deal we've got. At the same time, several small to medium-sized deals, which augurs well for our execution on a quick and timely basis. Thirdly, I think we have built the capacity, we have trained the people, and as Rajesh pointed out, the time is ripe for doing some of those operating model interventions in terms of getting down the contingent labor down, right, and improving our own utilization, all of that thing, right. I think these two is what we'll have to do in the short term, right, and continue to look at the pipeline that we have, which is again quite good, quite robust, and convert those pipeline into deals as quickly as we can.
So, Sanjay, I distinctly remember last time when we met, my question was phrased on the following, thought. Was there a probability or a possibility of a double-digit growth? And you emphasized on the word possibility. So, looking at the start of this year, the word possibility of a double-digit growth is completely out.
I think it is a possibility still.
Still a possibility.
I would say it's a possibility, because our exit rate is good, our deal pipeline is good, our order book looks good. Customers feel that let's spend wisely, there is some deferment, no large-scale cancellations. When I put all these things together, I think it should augur well for our growth. But then, we have to wait and see what happens in the next 6 to 8 weeks, right? And it's also an election year, in many parts of the world, right? So we'll have to see how these two things play out in the next 1 or 2 months. But if I look at what we have as order book, what we have as pipeline, what we have as capacity, and the challenges on the supply side abated, if I juggle all of these things, the possibility is there.
So, Rajesh, if I connect the dots here, your opening remark, Krithi's confidence that this is going to be a short-lived volatile patch, NGS's comment that there is a possibility of a double-digit growth. Can I say that while it will be difficult for you to pinpoint the accuracy in terms of whether recovery will happen, you're reasonably confident that this is just a small passing phase? This is not like any kind of structural decline, or you need to revisit your earlier assessments?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we believe so. And it's not just hope. So if you look at it, we are very confident about the ongoing strength in UK, and both our momentum as well as the deal flow that we have seen. UK is on a good wicket. Europe, we hope that it has bottomed out and should start turning. And Europe has been sequentially slowing, so it's been a drag. And even if it flatlines, it will actually start improving the impact from a company perspective. And there is an opportunity for that to start improving. US, as I said, we don't see structural challenges there. We are like, even if a technical recession actually happens, there is enough resilience in that economy. The clients that we see, we don't see many weak clients, and therefore that should also give us. So there the timing issue is there. So it's more of a timing rather than a structural problem, and we are executing on that belief and doing everything that it takes to position us for that.
So, Krithi, next quarter when we meet, would TCS be in a position to give us a better clarity? 6 to 8 weeks, what NGS just said.
Yeah, we will give you all the information we have, and we will give you our impression. I don't know whether that would be, you can call it better clarity. We are hoping that there will be less volatility, and maybe there will be greater understanding of what's going to happen.
I've read through 5 brokerage notes in the morning, and folks who've been tracking you for years now, all of them are raising a red flag or underlining the word slowdown. Do you think everybody is overemphasizing on the quarter gone by and the current quarter? That's not the right way of looking at things.
See, the way we look at it, that's all I can talk about. The way we look at it is like last quarter there was a certain amount of uncertainty. There was some projects were deferred, And if you look at the long term, we believe there is enough demand for technology over a medium to long term. There would be uncertainty will weather off for a period of time, and like the way it happened during the COVID, like the first couple of months, everyone was in shock. After that, they realized is that once this initial concern dies down, people will get back to the old ways where, as I mentioned, that technology is going to give them the competitive advantage. They will come back to spending on technology or investing on technology.
You know, Rajesh has been kind enough to extend a coffee invitation to lunch invitation. That's why we'll have chat about what he's planning to do. But I will not do my, karma and dharma as a journalist if I don't ask the CEO designate. That is there a restructuring happening in TCS? That's what we understand at various vertical levels.
Actually, I've been answering this question so many times. Okay, restructuring is not our priority.
Then there's nothing happening. You want to deny it, you can deny it.
Our priority is going to be talking to the customers, talking to our associates, finding out what needs to be done. If we need to do some tweaks, we will do a tweak. So it's not, restructuring is not top of mind.
Okay. Rajesh, so the invitation from coffee has got extended to lunch now is what I understand.
Lunch, dinner, बहुत ही time है.
NGS, I go back, I may sound slightly repetitive this one, but what the idea of today's chat is to perhaps get this communication right, that how is 2023 slowdown different from the previous cycles? I'm being repetitive with this one, but that part I think needs some addressment, because what markets are doing is that they're doing parallel between the Brexit time and GFC crisis and blowing things out of proportion. At least that's my understanding.
I think they are different as we see it, and I think I explained it, because we don't see a chain reaction.
You don't see a chain reaction?
I don't see a chain reaction, and I think we have learned to enjoy uncertainty. Yeah. I think we have got enough offerings, enough work to do in the near term, which will augur well for our medium to long term growth.
Rajesh, 2021, you came out and you said that you are mega excited about a multi-year cloud architecture which is at play, and this is a multi-year cycle, and next 3 quarters the numbers were absolutely out of the park. Any reason to believe that whole thesis could get challenged?
No. If you look at how it has played out, last 2 years, we have been in the mid-teens growth, 15%, close to 14% this year. And that's a lot of it has come out of cloud being one of the major drivers of that growth. When we look at our customers, the cloud agenda continues. We had called out a few quarters back that this year is likely to be a year of execution focus on the cloud side. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of energy that had gone in. The business cases we still believe is true. The roadmap is very secure. But the extent of investment and focus on execution that was required was not there in the beginning, whereas that will be where the play will be. And that actually is good news for us. So while you're seeing the froth coming off on incremental cloud sales from a hyperscaler perspective, but for service providers like us, it's actually now comes the heavy lift, and therefore the demand side from a cloud continues very strongly for us.
So last question, and I'm going to quote one of your media interactions. You said 2023 will be about repair. It will be about implementation. It will be about getting the margins back in order. But that comment was made when the US problem was not there. That problem was made when the macro in the regional US banks was not there. So what changes in that statement of intent, which you made in December?
I would still say that the execution focus remains the same. It is about consolidation. It is about repair. I spoke about the operating model, that we are too leveraged on contingent labor. That a cost implication, it also has a delivery and a customer experience implication. So those repairs need to be done. There is a lot of work that needs to happen, and an operating model, many things that we are experimenting with needs to be scaled up. So that continues. The uncertainty on the revenue will flow through, and we need to make sure that that headwind is dealt with appropriately. But we don't need to jump into it immediately. We can afford to wait and let it develop a bit before we take any active stance on it.
Well, Krithi, Once again, congratulations on your appointment. Must say that you'll have to get used to, dealing with press every quarter now. Not that it's something new to you, but that's a different world.
Sure, Nikunj, thank you.
NGS, always a pleasure. I look forward to interacting with you next quarter. And Rajesh, it's the last time we're speaking to you in this formal capacity, but you've been a great supporter of IT now, a personal friend, one of the young leaders who's inspired me always when I want to look at things and team management. And, TCS shareholders, they should be mighty excited under your tenure. It had a commanding premium, best margins. So thank you for all that. And I'm going to be personally missing you a lot from next quarter.
Very kind of you, Nikunj, and same here. We'll miss this intensity of interaction, but
lunch or coffee do you have?
Convert it into something else.
Chalo, it's back to the studio.
Thank you.